is RTV6 News at Noon, working for you.
Thanks for joining us here on the News at Noon. I'm Lauren Casey with Todd Clausen, working from home this midday. Todd, we're looking at some video that our photographer Shay Goodpaster shot earlier this morning of the heavy rain coming down. A lot of people talking about how they were woken up this morning to all the thunder that moved across our area. What's it looking like outside right now?
You know, it's a lot calmer at this noon hour, Lauren, than it was earlier this morning. As you mentioned, the heavy rain, we had the lightning. Thankfully, none of those storms were severe. That is the good news. Take a live look at Storm Team 6 radar right now, and you can see that most of the rain is out of the area, at least the heavy rainfall. There's still some light scattered showers across parts of the area and definitely some lingering cloud cover. But I do think most of the afternoon is going to be dry. You notice some showers near Brownsburg and up towards Carmel and Noblesville. And then you can see that cluster of storms from this morning is now off to our south and east, pushing into Kentucky. But now we'll turn our attention to this area of storms that is off to our northwest. That will arrive later on this evening. Temperatures right now, where the clouds are still present, are in the 70s, but as soon as you get into sunshine, you'll warm quickly into the 80s. There could be a spot storm this afternoon, but it's really from 6 o'clock through about 9 o'clock that line of storms that I just showed you makes its way through the area. As that storm comes through, there definitely could be some gusty winds, maybe an isolated severe thunderstorm warning because of that wind, but we are not expecting any widespread severe weather. Highs today will be in the mid-80s. We'll talk more about the storms for later on this evening, Lauren, coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Breaking news right now. New word this midday that IU and Purdue may not have a football season after all. The Detroit Free Press is reporting that the Big Ten will officially announce tomorrow that the conference will not play football this fall because of COVID-19 cases. They're not subsiding in most states. Also today, Sports Talk host Dan Patrick said that the sources told him that the Big Ten university presidents voted 12-2 against holding a season. The Big Ten had recently announced its teams would play a 10-game season of conference games only. Of course, we'll continue to follow this developing story and have updates for you at theindychannel.com. Well, Indiana is one of the states where COVID-19 cases have been on the rise recently. The latest numbers from the state health department show a drop in new cases for today, but the drop has been typical of most Mondays during the pandemic, as some health departments are delayed in reporting results from over the weekend. The health department says 673 new cases were reported, along with 3 new deaths. Today is the last day of in-school instruction for students at Avon High School for some time. The school district says rising COVID-19 cases means that students will switch to e-learning for the rest of the week. That starts tomorrow. After this week, Avon High School will move to a hybrid schedule for the weeks of August 17th and the 24th. Full in-person instruction is expected to return the week of August 31st. This change only impacts Avon High School students. Other Avon schools will remain on their regular schedules. At least 3 students and 2 staff members at Avon have tested positive for COVID-19. So the pandemic has forced schools to raise the bar for safety for their students and staff. And some buses now have cameras that can identify a driver's face, car type, and license plate if they violate a stop arm. Our Kelsey Anderson has more on one school district's work to keep your children safe.
Earlier this month, Governor Eric Holcomb announced extra patrols will be in place across the state to ensure the safety of kids as they get on and off the bus. I spoke to Derek Shelton at Mount Vernon School Corporation, and he tells me last school year they had 32 stop arm violations. Luckily, no one was hurt, but he says he's glad he has a good relationship with the local police departments, and the governor has ordered extra patrols.
Yeah, we have a great relationship with the Fort Village Police Department and McCordsville Police Department, and they are always help us. So if we have a tendency of somebody that's always we can see running the stop arm, we will call them and they will always come out and set up a spot where hopefully we can catch these people and keep things safer for our staff.
In a press release, Governor Holcomb said, "We're sending a clear message that driving with anything less than your full attention is unacceptable." Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
Kelsey, thank you. Mount Vernon schools are also working to prevent the spread of COVID-19 on those school buses. They're assigning students seats and requiring them as well as bus drivers to wear masks. Each bus will also be sanitized after every route. So it has been more than a week since the additional federal unemployment dollars expired for tens of thousands of Hoosiers still out of work. President Trump has signed an executive order that he says will restore some of that money. But that may or may not happen here, as our Rafael Sanchez explains.
A change in expectations hearing the president's executive order on unemployment benefits. The president offering an extra $400 to replace the $600 which ended on July 31st. But when will Hoosiers see financial relief is still unclear. The $400 is to be paid out to states like Indiana, which put up 25% of the cost, which is $100 of the total amount. While states and the feds hammer out the details, the Department of Workforce Development, which issues unemployment benefits, is in limbo, waiting for guidance on what to do next, as the state's moratorium on rent and utility bills expires this Friday. On Sunday, thousands of Hoosiers filed to get unemployment payments beginning today. $390 remains the maximum. The people counting on the extra $400 will now have to possibly wait weeks unless something changes in the nation's capital.
And that was Rafael Sanchez with that report. Now, he did reach out to the governor's office for a response, but he has not heard back yet. So you may have also heard that the president signed an extension to the moratorium on evictions. That's not exactly what's going to happen, though. What the president actually signed was a directive to federal agencies to see if there's anything that can be done or if any federal money that can be spent to prevent evictions. There's no actual extension of the eviction moratorium. That was part of the CARES Act. That moratorium expired at the end of July. Well, it only took 1 week for someone to deface it. Next, what we know so far about the vandalism of the Black Lives Matter mural and what the crime means to some of the artists who helped to create it. Todd.
And Lauren, the first round of rain and thunderstorm activity that went through this morning is now exiting central Indiana, but there's more storms on the way. They're off to our west right now. We'll have the timeline and the impact of those storms here for central Indiana coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast. The time now is 12:07 rather. We'll talk more about that forecast coming up when the News at Noon continues.
Welcome back. Metro Police are trying to figure out who vandalized the Black Lives Matter mural that's on Indiana Avenue. It happened over the weekend, just a week after the mural was completed. Our Troy Washington spoke to one of the mural's artists about the impact of the vandalism.
This mother wanted nothing more than to highlight her daughters in her latest project. Their faces are part of the Black Lives Matter mural. After seeing their reaction to being included, she's dreading having to explain to them that someone tried to destroy this positive picture.
They have no idea that racism exists. I haven't had that talk yet, but I will one day. And it hurts to know that something that's so uplifting and it's supposed to be, us coming together and just saying that we matter too. It hurts because this is what you do.
Ashley Robinson can't believe this white paint is now covering some of her masterpiece.
I came to make sure that their faces weren't defaced, but I see that on my youngest, her crown, it has a little paint in it. But I'm gonna repaint it, and I'm gonna make sure, like a lot of us have to do, and to remind them and to remind everybody in this world, put your crown back on, lift your head up.
She says right after she fixes her daughter's crown on her head, she's going to work on restoring the work of art back to its original glory. Police are investigating the vandalism they believe took place overnight.
I'm praying for you. I know that you have to be hurting somewhere inside. I know that this is an act of hurt, and I don't know what trauma you've experienced.
This artist believes whoever did this missed the message in the art.
We matter too. Our futures, our dreams, we all matter. And the butterfly holding the black dreams matter. It symbolizes, hope. I don't want us to die as caterpillars. Like, let us grow up to be what we were destined to be, for us to walk and be in our purpose.
We reached out to some of the artists who worked on this mural, and they say they are upset but not shocked, and this won't stop the movement. Her only message to the person behind the vandalism:
whoever did this, I don't want you to feel like me being sad or somber is me being defeated, or any of us being defeated. All you did was, we're gonna fight harder, and we're gonna say we're showing you guys that our lives matter as well.
Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
Troy, thank you. Talking about racism is difficult, and that's why every Tuesday this month, RTV6 and Radio 1 will host a conversation exploring racial issues here in central Indiana. The next topic is called the current racial climate in our community. You can watch that Tuesday at 5 p.m. on the RTV6 Facebook page. Well, if you have a house or a new apartment picked out, you may also be worried about making that move right in the middle of a pandemic. Next, we'll take a look at your risk of catching the coronavirus during a move. And let's take a live look outside right now from our Weather Now camera here in downtown. You heard Todd say things are much quieter than they were for your morning commute. We'll check in and see what we can expect for the rest of the afternoon and evening and the rest of your work week. That's all coming up here on the News at Noon. Stay with us. Welcome back. There's still a lot of questions about what we should or shouldn't do during a pandemic. Our partners at Newsy are taking an in-depth look at your risk during certain activities. So today they ask whether or not you should hold off on moving into a new home until the pandemic has passed.
When it comes to getting sick with COVID-19, you might be thinking about this, and we have too. Emily asked,
what is the risk of moving with or without movers?
We asked the experts. Their take, the risk of contracting COVID-19 from moving is medium.
It really depends on, who your movers are. Is it friends that are coming over and helping you move? That's probably a little lower risk versus, an unknown company. But if they are taking some basic precautions, wearing masks, things like that, it's probably a manageable risk in that way.
So when it comes to moving, if you're packing your own home up and doing the move yourself, I think the risk of that would be low if you were not infected to begin with. If you are having friends come over to help you move, obviously that's a situation where you might be in close contact or within that 6-foot radius from others as you're moving heavy boxes or pieces of furniture.
Just having conversations with your moving company, making sure that the expectation is that everybody is wearing a mask when they're either moving stuff in or out of your house. And then, as you're unpacking, it's just always good practice to be washing your hands throughout the process.
If you have a question about your risk, email us a video question to whatstherisk@newsy.com.
All right, well, this could be the year 2020 in a nutshell. On Sunday afternoon, the rains came in. The 6th inning of the game between the Baltimore Orioles and the Washington Nationals. Looks kind of like the morning here in Indianapolis. The Washington grounds crew at Nationals Park tried to bring out the tarp for the infield, but of course, as you can see, the tarp had other plans. Things did not get better for the grounds crew either. By the time the brief downpour had ended, the stadium tarp was still not unrolled. The game ended up being suspended, and it will be resumed this coming Friday. Oh, man, Todd. Usually I'm impressed by how quickly those people work, but yeah, 2020.
Apparently they didn't have spring training yet this year either. Not too many rain delays for practice there, but all right, they'll pick that game up. All right, if you have outdoor plans, maybe the kids have a ball game here this afternoon. Maybe you're heading out to the golf course. I think we're okay for most of the afternoon. Anytime after 6 o'clock, though, that is when we're going to have to start to be weather aware once again. So as you take a look at the satellite radar picture, you notice some clouds lingering. There's a few very spotty showers sneaking through parts of the area. One's passing the airport there right by Decatur Township, and that is just about it as far as the rain goes. As far as the clouds, you notice to Lafayette, Peru clearing out. Terre Haute sunny right now. These clouds will move out. Once they do, temperatures will jump up into the 80s very, very quickly if you're not there already with the sunshine. But our attention will turn to this area of storms across parts of Iowa and into Wisconsin, even down towards Kansas City. This is all going to be heading in our direction as we work our way throughout the course of the evening hours. So the later we get into the evening, the better chance we'll have of storms once again. So let me time it out for you almost hour by hour here using TrueCast. 3-4 o'clock. An isolated storm is possible, downpour, but nothing widespread across the area. Once we get to 6 o'clock, that's when the line of storm starting to approach northwest Indiana. And then as we continue into the 8 o'clock hour, those storms moving through the northern half of the state, approaching the metro area by 8 p.m. They'll push through the metro area. At this point, it looks like between 8 and 9 o'clock, and then move down to the south, and then move out of central Indiana as we work our way into the overnight hours, although a few showers may linger there in southern locations. The main impact with these storms as they come through, obviously heavy rain and lightning. As far as the severe threat goes, there could be some gusty winds with these storms as they come through, and can't rule out the chance of an isolated thunderstorm warning, but not looking at anything widespread. The view from downtown to the north shows the sky starting to clear. 78 in Tipton, but 82 with the sunshine in Peru, 83 in Lafayette. Again, if you're sitting in the 70s this morning, as soon as you get into the sunshine, temperatures will jump up pretty quickly into the mid 80s. Could even approach 90 degrees in Terre Haute as well as Bloomington this afternoon. This evening, again, turns stormy with temperatures falling back down into the 70s. Tomorrow, still a storm chance in the forecast, but it's a lower threat than what we have out there today. But tune in with Kevin tonight, I would say, starting with the news, obviously, at 5 o'clock, and he'll walk you through the course of the evening hours as those storms start to first approach and then move through. And then we'll keep scattered storms in the forecast throughout much of this week, Lauren, as it remains pretty unsettled. As far as temperatures, I know it was a little on the cooler side last week. Highs this week, very seasonable for this time of year in the middle of August, with highs that'll be anywhere from about 83 to 86 degrees.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. We know millions of people had filed for unemployment over the past several months, but even if you haven't, there may be an application for benefits floating around with your name on it. And Tim Maniscalco with the Better Business Bureau says it's something you need to watch out for.
If you receive a notice from the unemployment office about the unemployment that you applied for and you didn't actually apply for any unemployment insurance, that needs to be taken care of right away. Here's what's happening. People are stealing identities. They are then going on and applying for unemployment benefits, and obviously then, getting those unemployment benefits. But what that means is that your identity has been stolen. So you need to take action. First off, you need to make certain that your employer knows about this, that the state unemployment office knows about this. You need to also contact your banks or wherever you keep your money, change your passwords, also report this to the police and the FTC. But this means that there's been a very serious breach of your identity. People have a lot of information, particularly they've got your social security number and a lot of other information about you. This is something that's happened in a number of states out there. We haven't seen any reports yet from Indiana, but it seems as though people are going around to different states and hacking in and getting people's personal identities and then applying for unemployment benefits. So if you would get a notice from the state that you applied for unemployment benefits and you have not done that, you need to take immediate action and start to guard against any further things that would happen to your identity, and take action and contact those people and make certain that nothing else happens to you. So this is something that we're seeing out there, and you just need to be aware if it does happen to you.
Tim, thank you. You can find more about this identity theft scam by going to bbb.org. Still ahead here on the news at noon, as the cliche goes, you're never too old. We'll have the story of a woman who took that to heart recently. That story and more coming up here on RTV6. Stay with us. Welcome back. Well, they say there's nothing like doing something for the first time, and that's true no matter your age. Dorothy Pollock decided to check off a few bucket list items after spending months in isolation during the coronavirus lockdown at a nursing home. She says weeks after being discharged, out of nowhere, she decided she wanted a tat. Grandmother got a tattoo of a frog, the one thing she says she loves more than beer and burgers. The tattoo artist says that she took the needle like a champ and he didn't see her flinch once. She says she absolutely loves her new ink, and after the tattoo, Pollock crossed something else off her list, riding a motorcycle for the first time. Grandma's gone wild, Todd. Two things I haven't done. I don't know if I will.
All right, there she goes. Look at her right on the back of the bike there. She's looking great. All right, outside right now. We're going to start to get into some sunshine here this afternoon across the area, but it's going to set the stage for more storms heading our way this evening. Anytime after 6 o'clock in northwest Indiana, probably closer to 8 in the metro area, a line of storms will come through with some damaging winds. Maybe an isolated severe thunderstorm warning, but not expecting any widespread severe weather, but storms stay in the forecast the rest of the week. Lauren.
All right, Todd, thanks so much, and thank you for joining us and making RTV6 your choice for news. Come back and join us for the news at 5. Have a great Monday.